How is everybody today? Just fine? Not great? I want to hear we're great this morning. We're not at work. No? Okay. My name is Joel Carboni, and I'm here today to convince you all that sustainability and project management are as inseparable as fish in the water in which they swim. And if you walk out of this door today thinking he was wrong, then I failed. So I'm going to be watching your faces and say, that guy's crazy or right on. So let me know how I'm doing. That's me. There I am. Here's my creds. I'm quite busy in a lot of different fields. I have a PhD in sustainable development. I have roughly 18 years of project management experience, project management experience. Worked for governments, private companies, banks, which are in their own field itself. But that's me a little bit. And our outline today, first I'm going to talk about some expected outcomes, what sustainability and what's really driving it, a couple short case studies. We're going to do some group exercises, and all of you are going to get published in a paper in the PM World Journal for your work here today as a team. Sound good? All right. So, in order to make that happen, though, I'll need everybody's name. What's David need? I need your name, company, and email address at some point on this table so I can submit that as a formal author list. But I'll explain more about that later. So, there'll be a break at exactly 10 o'clock so we can all get some more coffee and fresh air. But before that, let's go and get started. This is what hopefully you'll walk away with today, these key items. Understanding the current global landscape for sustainable development, developing a foundational awareness of the UN post-2015 business engagement architecture and how it will be impacting your projects. Anybody hear that before? UN engagement architecture, no? No? Yes, no? Probably not? Oh, good. This will be new information. Understanding the necessity for sustainability and project management. Key integrators, how to mitigate risk in 43 different areas. And a little bit more. Ever heard of GPM before? Probably not. We are the least known project management organization in the world, although we're the second largest. We have two arms, our corporate side, I guess you could say, and our nonprofit side. Certification and governance goes through the GPMG Accreditation Board, and training, development, assessments, standards go through GPM, which I'm in charge of. In just 4 years, we've gone from an idea and a Dell laptop to all this. So it says that sustainability is in demand everywhere around the world. And we're coming to our lovely session today. You get some free gifts. If you want to click on this code with your phone and go to the link, you can get a 3-year membership from our website with all kinds of tools, books, templates, access to lots of information, and you'll have it for a whole year. Practice exams for a certification exam. You can go to members.greenprojectmanagement.org, click on the partner discounted membership link, put in Agent of Change 2014, and that's all you need. Get a free year's access. We're going to be uploading an entire library of ebooks in the next coming weeks. Great information. So it's about a $4,000 value for nothing. So how's that for coming here today? Not too bad, huh? Okay, let's start. How many of you in here are project managers? Raise your hand. How about program managers? Raise your hand. Portfolio managers? Executives? Okay. Gives me a good understanding.
By title of my experience.
Sorry?
I'm not a project manager, but I'm involved in projects. That's part of my
Okay,
work.
good question. So, who here is involved in projects? Everybody. All right, that's what we want to see. So, how many of you, as a child, thought, I want to grow up and become a project manager? No. Liars. No, come on. You're a 4-year-old going, I want to be a project manager someday. You know, it's funny, actually. I've got 18 years as a PM, and I've got children, 2 at home. Actually, my wife's here with me today supporting. But my kids, when I go to school, every different dad wants to go to school and do the whole back to school day, go and talk about their career day, all that stuff. And so when the teachers come to me the first of the year, they go, "Oh, can you come in for a day and talk about what you do?" I'm like, "Yeah." She goes, "So are you a fireman or a policeman?" I'm like, "No, I'm a project manager here." She goes, "Oh." I'm like, whoa. But I wrote a book. "Oh, really? What about?" "Project management." "Oh." Like, "Oh, I can't go." Nobody grows up thinking, "I want to become a project manager." It's something that was sort of turned into at some point, right? Everyone has a turning point where they sort of get pulled into it, either they're in IT or in telecom or in construction, and it's like, "Oh, try this rollout." We kind of fall into it however we do, right? I fell into it sort of backwards on accident, and I fell in love with it. There's a lot of argument: is it a profession? Is it a discipline? Is it a function? I don't know, but I love it. So today, I'm going to talk a little bit about project management and also sustainability, my two passions. But I want to ask a question. Does anybody know what the definition of sustainable development is?
Any development which is when you have to look on the environment and socially and it is non-profit. The projects which is taking care of this climate.
That's a good start. Yeah, we need mics here. Hands are going up. This is great. Hands are going up.
Keep the resources for the future generations.
That's a key word. Yep. Go ahead.
Well, basically, I think the definition is preserving today's lifestyle for tomorrow's generation.
Yes. Sustainable development is development that meets needs of the present but compromising future needs, essentially. And if you Google this, you'll find thousands and thousands of links about all kinds of things for sustainable development. But what about sustainable delivery? What do you think it means? You can't just develop, right? You don't just start walking on a job site and start building stuff. What about the delivery aspect of it, the management of it, management of change? Can that also be sustainable? Think so? Good. So what you see here, people, planet, profits, also known as social, environmental, economic, was coined by a man named John Elkington, 1984 book called Cannibals with Forks. Now I tell you, if you go look for this book at a bookstore, you won't find it, it's kind of old. If you go to a library and ask for it, they're going to think you crazy. Cannibals with Forks, what do you have that book for? It's a business book, but actually it's really good. It talks about the three bottom lines that companies now look towards for overall growth and health. Sustainable delivery is the integration of sustainable development and change delivery. So essentially, portfolio, program, and project management using sustainable methods. Right now, I'm sure you're all aware that the UN had this big climate summit in New York, and all the governments are there talking about climate change and all these things. And whoa, my wonderful president, I say that with a smile, was there talking about the U.S. is taking the lead on climate change and all these things, and I'm looking at the carbon footprint globally, going, no, we're not. And in 2012, there was a summit in Rio de Janeiro called Rio Plus 20, and out of this came a findings document. And this document said, we're counting on public-private partnerships. Governments will not be taking the lead. It has to be corporations, thinkers, doers. And so for governments to go to the UN and say, we're taking the lead, it's the wrong approach. It has to be corporations, organizations, who have the ability to make a change on a global scale, take the lead to reduce some of these issues. Now, again, I live in the US, so that's why I'm talking about this. You know, the hottest decades ever recorded. The city of Miami floods at high tide now, which is crazy. West Coast wildfire season is now all year long. This is sad, and it's only going to get worse. Globally, this has been the hottest year ever recorded. Now, I realize in Dubai it's hot all the time, so you guys might not feel a big difference, because this is like basically the sun. But in other parts of the world where it's normally cold, it's getting really hot, and that causes massive change, which is not good for our planet. We cannot survive in this kind of world like that. Then there's this issue. 9 billion people, we cannot feed them as we are developed right now. How do we address this? No one has a clear answer, but it's a sustainable development goal. The key is there are documented 20 million project managers, probably even more than that, who are involved in projects around the world. And if we as a collective take a global project charter to do a little bit at a time, can we make a big difference? I think so. What do you guys think? Yeah? Hope so.
Sure result.
Sorry?
Sure result.
I think so. Well, it's my goal today to convince you how. Show you how. Okay. Percentage-wise, what percentage of CEOs globally do you think see sustainability as a new key for business success? Not quality, not IT, not telecom, not energy. Sustainability. What percent? Give me a number. Anybody?
Any business should be 100%.
So let me put it in context. There was a survey done by Accenture and the UN Global Compact of 1,000 CEOs in 123 countries. And they said, tell us, what percentage do you think, or how the question was phrased, do you see sustainability as the key for business success? Number one key. So what percentage of those 1,000 you think said first priority?
900.
900?
Yeah.
Close. 93%. So if 93% of CEOs say sustainability is the number one key to business success, then why is it not trickling down throughout corporate culture into every type of silo organization to where everyone's job function has to include it somehow? Is it yours?
It's a profit to life cycle. If you are running a business, profit to life cycle, it's too long.
That depends on how you see benefit. It depends on how you see benefit. 62% of the same CEOs believe they cannot quantify the value of their existing sustainability initiatives. So, yep, number one key for business success. But we have no idea what we're doing. Big disconnect, right? Well, let's take a look at just the MENA region. Over here, it's quite popular actually. And even His Excellency sponsoring this forum himself said it's a key. And he even committed DIWA to becoming more green in their projects. Even 30% of all staff become certified in it in the next 2 years. Quite amazing. They've even become a center of excellence for sustainability projects, our first one. So it does show that it's starting to happen, and it'll start growing and growing and growing very soon, which is very, very good. Now, UN Global Compact, which is a collaboration of 8,000 businesses worldwide, come together, and according to Georg Kell, the executive director, when companies sign on to the Global Compact, they say, yes, we support sustainability as an organization. They are given 2 years to submit a formal report, which is very basic. Tell us what you're doing towards sustainability. 50% are kicked out. They're kicked right out because they can't submit anything. Partially because they're measuring the wrong things.
Excuse me, I just make clear, because you address sustainability, and now you say UN Compact, 3 bottom lines, social corporate responsibility, corporate citizen. That is all in the same. Which one we can take it as umbrella? Sustainability and this all umbrella.
Yes, so sustainability as a whole is broken down under social, environmental, and economic.
Okay.
And I'm going to break that even further later, so it'll really confuse you. It'll be easy. I promise.
How 3 bottom lines are the same? Same bottom
Yeah.
lines.
Yeah, it's the triple bottom line is sort of universal. And so sustainability is based on those 3 bottom lines: people, planet, profit. How do you adhere to best practices to make sure that you're accounting for those kinds of stakeholders? Because consumers, investors, shareholders, business partners, influencers are looking at those key metrics saying, I'm not going to buy from this company. And I'll show you some examples too. So it makes a lot more sense. But since 2011, the number of Fortune 500 companies started doing sustainability reporting has grown from 20%, 52%, 72%. So all these companies are actually doing reporting on sustainability. There's one problem though. The reports are about this thick. And so when the GRI gets it, they're like, what is this stuff? We call it the Cobb Salad Report. It's where the CSR executive walks around the organization and goes, give me whatever you got. We got to put together a report. The CEO said so. I got nothing. Give me what you got. So they end up getting stuff like, we're going to cut carbon emission goals by 20% by 2020. That's a goal. We're going to do some philanthropy, donate some stuff to some remote island somewhere, and that's a good cause. So that's the social aspect. And health and safety for our employees. That's a good thing. So we'll start making some programs and training, and here you go. They hand it off. Well, I was at a GRI, the Global Reporting Initiative. I was at a GRI function in China, and Timothy Hui actually came out and said this, and I was so happy he did because it's a big problem. They're submitting these reports, basically, and these are all wonderful things. Don't get me wrong. These are all great, but it's operational. What about your product? The GRI wants to know, how sustainable is your product? Most organizations fall under a category. 0, for example. Organization does not know where it currently stands. So what's sustainability? Who cares? I don't know. Keep doing what we're doing. There's non-existent. They're unaware of any focused attention, but maybe there might be some scatterings here and there, a few things. Provisional, a little bit of competency, a couple practices, and up the ladder to principled, where it's why we live and breathe. Our company is so sustainable, inside and out. People, planet, profit, but profits are through the roof because we're so sustainable. Examples. Coca-Cola. Not a good example. This is Coca-Cola's website from a couple days ago. This is their sustainability site. Now, tell me, where here do you see Coca-Cola's product, the beverage? Anywhere?
Maybe this podcast, yeah.
This is a Coke machine. And what they're doing is they're putting lights out so people can come read by the machine at night and get a Coke, right? Very sustainable for Coke, the profit, but okay, this is great. Special Olympics, great initiative. Trains? What is all this? How about this? Now, I love Coca-Cola, don't get me wrong. But it's poison, it's sugar water, right? Come on. So of course they're going to say, well, don't look at our product. Look over here at what we're doing. It's great, right? No. Actually, I put this up there because Coca-Cola invested $1.7 million to try to oppose GMO labeling on the product because they use corn syrup that is genetically altered. They used to use sugar. But then because the US government started subsidizing GMO corn, Coca-Cola saved a ton of money and gives corn syrup. Tastes like garbage too now. If you go back and get the old Coke, it tastes great. But Coke's not saying, look at our product. Look at what we're doing. It's like there's a curtain around the product. This happens all over the place. It used to be a problem with Nike. If you guys would recall, back in the 80s and 90s, Nike was having all the shoes made in China by little children. That's all changed now. And Nike's brand now is all about overall health. They've got apps for iPhones and devices and running tools and health monitors and clothing lines and all kinds of stuff. Well, Nike and New Balance, that's right. So Nike has a Better World campaign, and New Balance is actually one of our global clients, are working on 7 key areas. They want their products to align with 7 metrics outlined by Accenture. And actually, Greg Montello called me last week and gave me this quote. He said that they and Nike are working together to try and force elimination of all toxic chemicals from entire clothing lines worldwide through this initiative. And they're using GPM tools to do it. Kind of cool. So, but the thing is, Nike is one of the few. It's a global issue. It all impacts everything else. Okay. You guys ever seen one of these machines? Who has one of these machines at home? Anybody? A Keurig? Anybody have one?
Mine is different.
Yeah, these are probably not as popular here. I mean, Nescafe is kind of popular here, right? The whole Nespresso thing. Okay, well, Keurig is a failure. They're owned by a company called Green Mountain Roasters. Sounds pretty sustainable. Green Mountain sounds so healthy and natureful, right? Well, these little K-cups here are made from oil, and these K-cups are not recyclable. And so when Keurig first went and bought the company that makes the K-cups, they're like, oh, we're sustainable, and wait a minute, these things aren't recyclable? Uh-oh. They have a goal towards like 2020 to develop recyclable cups. Why not now? Why not just develop some aluminum cups like Nespresso did and make it happen? But already you can see what these K-cups are doing. So, fail. How about espresso? You guys have seen these, right? They're all over Dubai. I've seen them. You can walk into the mall. There's these big walls of Nespresso cups. It's really pretty. Well, espresso capsules are aluminum. They even set up pod recycling centers for you to drop your pods off. I know my wife probably do it. She takes everything plastic and hoards it off. Even like she takes letters because of the plastic. Sorry, I didn't all my present. You're actually here today, so I apologize. But espresso, good. This was a project, guys. This is a project. Project manager looked at the business case, looked at the competitors, and said, "Can we do it better?" And they did. Kudos to Nestle. How about this one? What do you think this is? It's a river of concrete in a nature preserve. Nasty. Sugarloaf, Colorado. Sounds like a beautiful place. A big nature preserve had a mining effort right next door. And as they started to tunnel under it, saw some major problems. So what did they do? They spackled the walls to try and stop some of the collapsing. What happened was, as it mixed with groundwater, it rose up and filled up the river with concrete. Now the beautiful nature preserve has concrete roads. I look at it kind of like this. You guys ever played this game as a kid, Dig Dug? Where it's kind of like, he digs a hole and there's sun there and tanks of water and whoop. The whole nature preserve is just totally ruined. Horrible. Fail. Okay, this one. My favorite example, the Deepwater Horizon off the Gulf of Mexico. Sure, you've all heard about this one, right? Good old BP. Did you know BP did not even have a risk register in place when they put this thing in the water? How can you do a project and not even assess risk? It's crazy, right? Well, $20 billion later, they're realizing, maybe we should change the way we approach projects. But did they? No. Because last summer they spilled again in Lake Michigan. Don't get it. Yet, good old BP, all over their website, we're a green company, we're sustainable, but their practice doesn't match what they're preaching. It's not good. Maybe they'll learn. That guy got fired. Fail. Anybody here have a new iPhone? The iPhone 6? You do? Yeah? They look pretty sweet. I want one.
Is it this one?
Yeah, the iPhone 6. I want to get one really bad. And since I'm in Dubai and they're all unlocked, I might walk home with one. Hope my wife doesn't find out. Oops. But the thing about the iPhone 6 is that this is being seen as the greenest smartphone yet. Because Apple has actually outlawed any toxic chemicals in the components. First time ever. But it's a paradox. Because every 2 years, a new phone comes out. That's what happens to my iPhone 5. They don't collect them back. So where do they go? Landfill? Trash? Recycle? I don't know. So how many smartphones are there sitting in landfills right now? With all the chemicals bleeding down. So yeah, that's great. You're starting now, but again, had they thought from a portfolio perspective, back when they started iPhone, hey, let's become green as we grow and learn from this as we move forward. This is now how many iterations of iPhone? 6 iterations of iPhone? Plus iPads and everything else. How much e-waste is now out there? So it's a paradox. Yeah, it's great you're starting to become more green, but now every 2 years we have to keep going back to the well. And so there's social impacts, there's environmental impacts, and fiscal impacts. So green, not so green? I don't know. So I can't quite tell. What do you guys think? Any thoughts?
Not
Good.
green, of course.
I think all
Not
the
green,
sectors,
of course.
Not green?
Not green.
Not green? You have a thought? No? Anybody else in the back? Green or not green? Thumbs up or down? Down? Lots of downs. Okay, I agree. But I'm still going to buy one. Sorry, it's too cool. I'll probably keep my old one so I can reuse it in some other fashion. I don't know. Okay, but who's keeping track? There's the GRI, the Global Reporting Initiative. Have you guys ever heard of this organization? They're really, really big. Focus on 3 key areas, again, economic, environmental, and social. These are the performance indicators that they like to sort of measure on. However, when it comes to product measuring, it's very, very light. It's only about product labeling, consumer protection, health and safety, and that's pretty much it. There's no indicators actually of, tell me how your product is sustainable. It's all about the supply chain and suppliers, but nothing about the product. That's how Coca-Cola gets by so well. And companies like Nike who have, in the past, toxic chemicals. Because they send great reports and, oh, they're so sustainable, but it's what you measure that's really important. Then there's the UN Global Compact. And again, I believe in what the UN is trying to accomplish. Not everything they do is perfect, I recognize that, but I believe in sort of the mission of what this is trying to do. Have anyone here heard of the UN Global Compact 10 Principles for Sustainability? Anybody show of hands? No? Good, this is brand new stuff. All right, so there are 3 key areas. There's human rights, labor, and environment. Oh, sorry, 4, anti-corruption. And these are sort of the underlying pins behind what GRI is trying to accomplish, the new business engagement architecture framework, and several other initiatives worldwide. So I'm not going to go into details about each one of these because you can read about it later, but just know that they're there, and it's another way to sort of measure progress. And now, let's put it in the context of project management. How do all these things, people, planet, profit, 10 principles, GRI reporting, and projects, how do they fit together? Any ideas?
Yeah, I think all fit together because it's when you do any project now. Suppose if you need financing, then you have to give environmental impact assessment report, and to see also your project if it's in a remote area, whether you're going to give opportunity like building schools, roads, and give job opportunity for the locals, and also you have to do a life cycle, not as the end, as the beginning, from raw material up to the outcome of your project. It's everything now you do, you have to think in a sustainability way. Otherwise, you won't get any financing.
You have to do the feasibility study before you do any project. That's what I understand. And from that, you have to go through the finance to see who will, from where you will get your finance, and how will you will establish your project.
That's true, and that's true in many, many countries and many cities. However, how can you guarantee that you're doing it? How do you actually measure it? How can you? What are your metrics to show we're actually adhering to this?
You have to have key performance indicators.
Yeah. How do you know you've actually reached them? It goes down the rabbit hole like this, and it becomes a, hey, we did it! How do you know? We did it! A lot of companies like to do what's called greenwashing. We're a great company. Look at our products. They're healthy. But in reality, it goes on. It trickles down to your suppliers and their programs and everything. It all has to tie together. There's organizational, suppliers, and change delivery. So projects, portfolios, programs, suppliers, and organizational policies and culture. They all have to be on the same page. Otherwise, not going to happen. Do you all agree?
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Would you all agree this is sort of a basic explanation of what project management is? It's very simple. Right? Project management is the application of methods, tools, techniques, and competencies to a project. Short and simple. That's the basic ISO definition. I know that APM has one, PMI has one, IPM, they're all basically the same thing. But this is the basic of what project management is. Now, sustainability project management, or green project management, is no different. It's no different. Back up. It's how you apply what methods, what tools, and what techniques you're using for the project. So when we talk about green project management, or what is sustainable project management, not trying to change project management. It's just turning it slightly to a different degree and moving forward as fast as you can. Trying to achieve more. So you're all familiar, so the idea of initiate to close, right? Initiate, plan, implement, or execute, monitor, control, close. Those sort of barriers. How many of you are ever asked to think beyond those? When you're handed a project charter saying, here's the goal, you look at it and go, okay, but you think about, can I see the business case? Is there justification for this? And what about the product after it gets handed over? What happens then? Oftentimes project managers are siloed into just what they're being asked to do. What happens afterwards? No one cares about. That's kind of the global norm. That's all we're ever taught. But there's more to it. Sustainability in an organization comes from an organizational strategy. This is from ISO 21500, Guidance on Project Management. This is the project environment. So the organization, external, right? Organizational strategy, so CEOs, CFOs, COOs, CSOs, the C-suite, and operations, supply chains, what have you, internal operations. Almost all organizational sustainability standards, strategies, so ISO 14000 series for environmental management, ISO 50001 for energy management, 26000 for CSR, all of those are designed for organizational management, not for projects. But tell me, when driving change in an organization, how do you do it? With organizations or with operations? It's here, right? Opportunities become a business case. Our project governance is applied, goes through project management, becomes a tangible deliverable, change something, goes into operations, and benefits are then realized by the organization. So why is sustainability being driven backwards? I bet you the iPhone, had it started here as an opportunity with sustainability as a requirement, would have started off with the first version being more sustainable had it not gone this way. Saying, yeah, well, maybe we'll make all of our plants, ISO compliant and sustainable, but the product, that's going to come way later. If it started this way, the plants would have learned from the business case, the lessons learned, and the whole organization would become sustainable. Now we have this. Bermuda Triangle of sustainability doesn't exist. Most business cases completely ignore sustainability. For example, make sure that the product or the change of the asset doesn't impact the environment in a bad way. Make sure that you don't have society banging on your door saying, this is bad for us, don't do this. Make sure that it's actually fiscally compliant with what we're trying to do as an organization. Make sure it aligns with organizational strategy. It doesn't happen. This is a new way forward. Organizations largely are changing the way they're moving forward. No longer is it Six Sigma, stick to the process, keep it tightened down, and make sure that we're moving forward the same way all the time. It's how can we become more flexible, more adaptive to change? Can we accept change? Are we ready for change? Are we more agile? Big word now, agile. So the way forward is strategic objectives. So manage benefits from a project, change the business, portfolio management, manage delivery, so programs, projects, and run the business. So BAU, business as usual. Sustainability is being driven through portfolio management this way, and the cycle continues. That's how companies become more sustainable overall through their entire culture, is through project delivery. That's the key. Organizational project management. Okay, there's a lot of words up here on the screen, and we'll see them again later. But these are basically principles. So how many of you follow a process methodology at work for projects? Like step 1, receive charter. Step 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, hands go up in the air. Lots of you. How does that work? Does it work the same way every single time? No? I see a no, back there, no. Does it ever work?
You need to push it.
Push it. It's hard, right? Please sign this. Please sign up on this. No. Got two stakeholders fighting about it. They're like, no. Okay. Well, what if project management was more principle-based and had functions? Project charters are function. So rather than being tied to a process, which you can't measure a process for benefits because it's a process. You can measure a system. If you take a systematic approach to projects, you can measure for benefit and see value, and the executive suite will then love it. So we've designed 6 key delivery principles for sustainable project management. And don't worry, you'll get a copy of this later. You don't have to take a picture and we'll give it to you later in a PDF, so it's okay. But basically, commitment and accountability, ethics and decision making, integrated and transparent, principle and value-based, social and ecological equity, economic prosperity. Now, are all of you PMI members? How many of you PMI members? Okay. You've all signed their little ethics code of ethics. A lot of this is already in there except for this one and this one, I think. But a lot of it's already there. But do we actually adhere to this? Do we actually think about it on a daily basis? Am I doing this? Or better yet, is my organization asking me to do this? Is it in my requirements? No. Group exercise. So here's what we're going to do. All of you in here today, I think I mentioned it before the room got filled, are going to become published in a paper, if you'd like to, PM World Journal as a result of being here today. So what we're going to do as a group, we've got charts around the room. And we're going to break up into teams, and we're going to develop KPIs. First thing we got to do, though, is pick a sector as a group. So I need a show of hands. What sector should we choose? Speak up. Anybody?
Construction.
Construction? All right, telecom. I have one for telecom, I have one for construction. Anything else? Electricity? Okay. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have 7 charts. We have 7 different ones.
Real estate.
Real estate. Okay. Let's do this. Let's do land management / real estate. Is that one? Up here? So if you want to be part of that group, come on up here. Come on up. Let's do telecom and maybe telecom / IT. Is that okay? Yeah? Over here?
What about the government?
Government, yes! How about right next to them, over there? Come on up, let's go. Come on up, come on. Stand up. And construction, how about over here? Construction over here. What else? Energy. Healthcare, right back in the corner. Yes, healthcare. We still have 2 more charts. Sorry? Yes, energy. We have an energy. Where's energy at? Where's energy? Okay. Energy's back there. Second from left.
Love construction.
Okay. Who's still sitting down?
Nobody mentioned.
Yeah.
I'm alone.
Transportation. The rest of you are all part of transportation. You've all been pulled into transportation. Wow, suddenly there's air in the room. Okay. IT is over here with telecom. I think it's the second chart. This is government. If you guys want to move the charts a little bit, this is far back corner. Okay, so let me explain how this is going to work. So TPM has a really good relationship with the PM World Journal, and they've agreed to publish a paper that we're going to do today as a group. We're going to write a paper on KPIs. And we're going to take our 7 fields, and we're going to develop KPIs for social and environmental projects. So what I want you to do, back up. That's fine. All right, so I want you to develop what are 5 KPIs for social impacts that your projects might have, and 5 KPIs for environmental impacts your projects might have that you want to be looking out for to try and keep them more sustainable. So what are things you could be doing in your projects KPI based? Is that clear? Yeah. So write down like 5 social and 5 environmental. And then we need to have one spokesperson for each group. Then after we're done, share, once we've all sat back down, why you chose those. Okay. Here's that one. Social and environmental.
We should start.
Who's the project manager?
Operational for that.
And I don't know how to write.
Is everybody clear on what we're doing? So five KPIs. Social and environmental sustainability. We're not expecting anyone to be an expert
good
at this point,
handwriting.
just based on what you already know.
Yes.
My spelling is very bad.
No problem.
I write
Yeah,
like
okay.
this. Okay.
This one over here is
We need 5 social and 5
First, I think first thing is satisfaction of users or those people who deal with the construction.
Yeah.
First
the
thing.
management,
You mean the
End user
not the
satisfaction.
building itself, but the management of the construction.
I think we can
Yeah,
make
yeah.
it
So just to
end
be clear,
users
we're talking about the
and
project
authorities
management
satisfaction, because nowadays,
of-
especially here,
We're not talking about the product itself, but the management. The management processes, the management of the
Social or
project.
environmental?
social.
Okay.
So we can.
Where is government? Government's right here. No, this IT telecom, this is government right here.
Users
Yeah, government right here.
and let's say
Is it?
authorities.
Oh, okay, so this is government over here?
You mean satisfaction or acceptance of the project?
Satisfaction.
I think you guys are actually over here. Sorry.
And
Government over here,
how will you measure
This
the
is
satisfaction of
telecom
the
systems
users?
over the government.
If construction
Because you know, sorry for KPIs must be measurable. Yani you have it should be measurable. So how can you measure end user satisfaction and authorities?
questionnaire and communities
I was the government.
90%.
أنا بس
just
We can say 90% satisfaction.
Goats and chicken crazy.
90% satisfaction. And we have to agree on number.
no, this is difference from place to place, from project to project.
Yeah.
What about cultural satisfaction?
Culture, too.
Cultural.
They get 5 to 7.
Yes, it's another part.
Will you explain it a bit?
Just talking about designing any project, cultural aspect, which could be also part of the end user satisfaction.
This is what
Probably not the end user. Cultural, maybe.
Cultural is
This
different.
will be related to other stakeholders of the project.
Part of it
I think we should include something related to the labor and workforce related to the project, especially in
The
construction
rights of labor,
field.
rights of labor.
Yeah, especially in construction. And nowadays in this area there are many talks about that,
Yes,
especially
like
in
in
Qatar
Qatar, yes.
after the World Cup.
Qatar.
But how you are going to measure? How you are going to measure that?
There are a lot of standards people should live in and labor should comply with. And
Yeah.
It's all measurable.
Even in the construction itself, the daily reports, the monthly reports related to health and safety, and to
Yani you can measure it by knowing how much you fulfilled the labor rights and
Even there is a factor for the living areas for labor
Yeah.
person per space. How many person in how many space?
yes. These are يعني numerical numbers فيعني it can
So
be
what shall we call this item?
labor rights fulfillment labor rights.
It's very difficult to measure, you know, because I mean, if you have an organization from Europe or from America to come and to check, I mean, the standard there in that country, it varies from countries to countries.
Yeah, but you will
What you will focus with? Okay, you will go and make a questionnaire to the workers. Or where? I mean, if you come to me as a company, I will say I'm satisfying the levels.
no there are standards and measures you will be evaluated against these standards.
I think UN has some standards. I think so. The international standards for people, not differs from place to
And
place.
in many aspects, even there are local standards to measure it. For example, in construction, I'm from a contractor background. We have standards about how many, let's say, accidents per 1,000 labor. Yeah.
Maybe the turnover.
Yes. Compliance with the labor ولا human resources.
Right.
I guess an environmental.
This would be
Using reusable materials.
Maybe.
That is for environment. For environment.
Yes.
so to make this measurable.
Using LEED standards or whatever standards they have for
A certain amount, certain quantity needed for a certain project.
Lead material.
LEED certified methods.
Okay. So he said 5, 5.
Well, if you go to the LEED, it has it's a whole chapter of checklist.
Frankly, I don't have any information, but I'm trying to start learning about the green issues.
But it does have social aspects in it. It does have the environmental impact assessment, traffic assessment, lots of checkpoints you need to
Selecting
select.
location, the right location for the project itself.
Okay. And under the environmental.
It could be either way, social or
Yes.
proper location.
Now back to the social, I think any project should have a benefit to the society. So I don't know how that could be measured, but
That is under satisfaction.
This is under end user.
Energy saving, yeah.
This is they call it green building.
I don't know, our projects, I think, in governments, we always try to include cultural designs in our projects. For example,
You mean the design
traditional,
utilization? Yeah.
like these kinds of projects.
trying
So
to
maintaining the
Number two, satisfaction.
cultural identity.
yes, maintaining cultural. No, number 4.
It's
It's there in
covered
the
by
culture.
culture satisfaction.
It will be in this.
Satisfaction is different. I think.
Satisfaction is different.
In your design, you will consider, the things which is satisfy the society. I mean, building it is being designed in USA different than United Arab Emirates.
So we'll make it in design
In design and operation.
and construction
And construction, yeah.
or execution.
Okay.
Please correct me if I'm wrong.
What about the waste which is being generated from the project itself, the waste management?
Yeah, that's it.
It's environment.
Promoting public transport to the site and the operation. Public transport.
Yeah, actually we do it.
No, I mean
What's they call it?
construction.
Traffic-
We comply
traffic
with
study
that.
or what's they- Traffic study.
But does it come under the environment?
It can be
can
under
write now
both,
and then we-
It can be under both. If you look at
Okay.
it from, from CO2 and CO emission, and it will be, if you look at it from
Okay.
space, it will be under both.
Perspectives.
In each country, there's a study they call it EIA, Environmental Impact Assessment Report, to be generated for each project, I believe, in most. To which extent we will satisfy the environment? I don't know how
What
to
is
measure.
that study?
EIA. they call
EIA,
it
environmental impact study. Environmental impact
So
study.
shall we?
It is
Ignore
traffic.
it.
No, traffic is separate study. Traffic
Yani
is
we can
separate
add
study.
number 6 and then we can okay.
Give priority.
Yes.
So what is that?
EIA.
But how to measure? EIA it will it varies.
EIS.
EIA, Environmental Impact Assessment
Yes.
report. That it should be generated for each project to get approval from the environmental.
Yes.
But here, also how to measure it. The problem how to measure it. It's very,
a
it
big
depends,
word.
it depends on the number of the project which get EIA, because some of the projects are exempted from EIA. It depends.
Okay.
And it depends on the scale of the project.
Yeah, it depends.
Type.
And not all the projects are satisfying. Some of
say operation social.
operation of the project, operation of the.
Operation. I think it's too general.
Yes.
Creating jobs. Because of this project, it will create jobs.
Creating opportunities.
Yeah, job opportunities. Like creating, we have to make a number. Like creating 1,000 jobs. For example.
Yes.
It's fine. You can add the number 1,000 opportunities, job opportunities.
But depending on the project, 1,000 sometimes it's nothing for a project.
All right, it depends.
Depends on
X
the project.
opportunity, for example, per project.
Okay.
Can we add health and safety for the social?
It's general.
It's also can be measured.
The number of accidents.
Yes.
That,
Standards.
HS only, not HSE. because
Ah,
E is
is
environment.
environment.
the department.
You can say 0 accident so that you have to quantify it with a number.
Zero accident.
Yeah, and
No,
target.
it's under safety.
Target.
Under safety.
The safety.
Between two brackets,
Usually in health and safety, there are references. For example, if we have that much accident per month, as per the project safety plan, you have to do maybe a new assessment for the safety being
Policy.
implemented on site, and you have to revise it. So there are numbers. Yeah, it's measurable.
I know, I mean, now we have to put numbers for all. For every item, we have to.
We have to put
because
numerical reference. I see.
Like satisfaction, like 90% satisfaction, for example, or 80%.
The target.
Yeah.
But it depends.
It's an example for the target. Yani. It's an example for the target.
We
But
don't have a project now, just generic,
Just
you know.
example.
Generic, you know. You
But-
could say
but we need-
Yeah,
It
he
varies.
didn't ask, I think,
Yeah,
for numbers.
Yeah.
Yeah. The points that will be basis of KPI.
Yeah.
You have to think about, when you talk about KPIs. KPIs must be measured. How you measure this?
yeah, this is what.
Yeah, for example, for this one,
For example, you can measure the distance to your to services you need, banks, pharmacies, supermarkets. So you minimize the distance to such facilities that you need for life and say we want to minimize that to reduce traffic. That is a KPI. You can measure that.
yeah.
Say, okay, we try to get everything there where we
I think we're just about there.
avoid traveling.
And if I'm correct, we're having a break at 10 o'clock.
Hospital is different than shopping mall. Yeah, that's why it will be a general more than.
Still you can measure a hospital against a hospital or a residential against another residential or business district.
Okay, about 5 more minutes. 5 more minutes, and then we're going to wrap up this part of the session.
The problem with KPIs is you need something.
Let us focus how to measure these things really. Satisfaction through
Yes.
questionnaires. I mean, because you raised that question. How to measure?
Voting in communities like status. Like
Yeah, but through questionnaires or through media and questionnaires. How you are going to approach them?
not you are talking general.
This, for example, authority compliance, it will be either yes or no. It will not be measured. It will not be a number. He's right.
You have no other option. For authority compliance, you have no other option. You have to follow that. Whether you like or you don't like, you know.
It's a checklist,
But
and then you have to fulfill all the items in the checklist.
So it will not be a KPI.
It is
will be
mandatory.
yes or
It is
no.
mandatory. You have to follow that. You know.
So this can't be KPI. Yeah.
You can measure it. Satisfaction you can measure through questionnaires, and you can see the feedback from, neighbors. Like, you know, when they constructed, the running hours for Heathrow Airport. And look, you know, neighbors, they complain and they stopped up to 10 o'clock night, finish, no more. Yeah.
Yes, most of the items in social you can measure by questionnaires.
Yeah.
4 more minutes.
Questionnaire and media, this
4 more
media,
minutes.
you know, people, this culture satisfaction in design. That's how we will measure it.
Does anyone have 10 altogether?
It depends
Show
on
of
the
hands.
reward.
Who has
Rewards
10?
for the project.
Like here.
Rewards. You know,
10?
many projects they are getting a
10?
rewards.
No. 10? So you're still actively writing over here.
We divide
Pretty
the
close?
area into,
All right.
we need some
Very close. Couple more
of the
minutes.
area of that project. Having these kinds of
If you're not finished, you want to work in front of your break, you can.
cultural.
We're going to break in a couple minutes for 20 minutes.
Cultural design.
Grab some coffee and refresh.
When I
and
consider a
final
design-
breaks, all that fun stuff.
I bear in my mind that I must have.
You guys, if you're finished, you can go ahead and go to break.
Design
Be back here at 10:20.
its own.
10:20,
cultural.
10:19.
Sometimes it's not.
So how we are going to measure this one, gentlemen? Culture satisfaction. Is it through, rewards for that project? This project is get reward from, government organization where they are taking care of the culture.
List of design criteria is satisfaction for a culture.
Yeah.
A cultural satisfaction might be also measured through observation. Maybe it could be measured through, as you said, awards.
We have to put a criteria how we are going
How
to
we
measure.
measure
It's
it.
very important.
And getting an award from the authority is not always possible.
But okay, yeah.
Checklist is a method. Checklist for the design criteria.
Okay. Who will put the standards, or the items of these
Design
checklists?
criteria will create this checklist.
Okay.
So you have to satisfy.
you know, if you satisfy the designer, but the society does not accept that project, you know, it
I
has
work
no
in
meaning.
design,
Yeah.
and it is very subjective.
Yeah,
subject
yeah.
to say.
I will satisfy the designer, but the society does not like it as a building, you know, in that place, you know. It spoils the whole area, or you know. You have to get the
I
feedback
think
from.
if we
you
have
know,
doubt about
not from
number
the
two,
designer, because every
we can
designer
omit
they
it
like
and
their
add
design.
something else like level of entertainment or level of satisfaction
Here the KPI, you know,
items which we can measure, like the green area percentage, for example. We can measure it.
you know, we are getting something not tangible.
And the design stage.
But as a project manager for sustainable
Now
projects,
this
if you want
one,
to do project
I'm
management
sure
sustainable,
that, for
you need to
example,
look at
United
the
Nations will
questions
have
like this, and you need to make
standards.
sure the
Right?
answers at the end of the building will be exactly what you wanted, not something the contractor wanted, the investor wanted, the life cycle cost.
As a project manager, you have no much options. You have to do whatever, you know, stakeholder they decided or shareholder they decided, finish. You have to execute that.
Yeah, sure, but you can do it sustainable or not sustainable.
Do I control sustainability as a project manager?
Sometimes you have to look at the life cycle cost for decisions. So it's a bigger investment, but it's reducing the cost.
And we're not satisfied with the value.
I think it's a break.
Have a break first.
That's not the right time for the break.
Sustainable coffee.
Exactly, but still it's under discussion. We still didn't start.
So what we need to do, I need your help. We're going to pass around a pad of paper and a pen. If you want to be part of the paper, please write your name legibly in, don't sign it, write legibly, your company and your email address. So we can copy you on the contents before it gets submitted, that way you can all agree to it. And we're going to publish you all in the paper. And before we leave today, we're going to take a group photo if you want to be part of the photo. So we can include that in the paper itself. And do you all know about the PM World Journal, what this is? PM World Journal is an independent online journal of research papers, theses, anything project management. It's PMI, it's IPMA, it's us, it's APM. They all collaborate to keep one online repository for research papers. So it'll get a lot of visibility. It's good for you, good for your company, everybody wins. And it kind of culminates what we're trying to do today into one final result. So she will collect it when we're all finished. So back online, let's pull back up our handy. Here we go. All right, so we'd like to have one spokesperson from each group stand up and talk about their KPIs. Who wants to go first? How about real estate? Tell us about your KPIs. We got a big mic coming to you right here.
Thank you very much. We have chosen 5 KPIs for each aspect. Let's start by the environmental aspect. The first one, we wrote quality and origin of materials used, if they are renewable or not.
What's area?
Real estate and development. Okay. So the first point was quality and origin of materials used, if they are renewable or not, where they come from, and all that stuff. Second point was impact on natural resources, the location of the site, if there's any environmental problem, you should look at it before starting the development. Third point is the energy, if we use green energy or not, solar energy or wind energy. Fourth point was the habitat. I don't remember what was that exactly.
Impact on local habitats, maybe?
Yeah, exactly. Impact on the existing habitats. And the last one was the waste management. If there is a system of waste management. For the social aspects, the first point was the use of local workforce. Second point was the social impact on neighborhood. There's an example like a community linkage. Third point was the use of public facilities. If there are schools, mosques, hospitals planned in the project. Fourth one was the infrastructure and transportation. If there are some infrastructure and transportation facilities like metro stations, links, or public transportation. And the last one was social pride. That was the idea of our friend Maha from back, and that's it.
Good job! All right, who's next? Energy. My throat's changed. Oh, really? You got nominated. You got volunteered. Good job. Energy and utility KPIs. Here we go.
We have chosen energy and utility because it is cover more wide area, better than energy only. And we have covered social impact, KPI, which is the first one. Consumer satisfaction. If you see in the energy sector, where the consumer more satisfied with the energy they got, the quality, and also the availability of power. And the second one is manpower, specifically we say humanization, which is manpower in the energy sector increase. They have increased the number of manpower inside. And also the third one is female leadership in energy sector, where they increase the female availability or what you call the leadership in the energy sector. Number 4, it's social activity. Social activity, what we mean social activity is where they get engaged with the social itself, like cleaning and development for the social. And the last one, it's awareness of energy, where they give people awareness how to use the energy in a safe way, and what do you call reduce the energy. And also it will affect, it is in the direct impact the environment. Right. If we go to KPI environmental impact, the first one is CO2 reduction, where they have like target to reduce the CO2, where if they reduce the energy, so they can reduce the burning of fuel. and that's how they reduce the CO2, or they have other solutions like they do the study how to reduce the CO2, like they implement new equipment or other than that one. Yeah. The implementation of and awareness of safety, regulation, they give everyone, it is internal and external, the awareness they give to the people, how to use the energy, how the safety of the safety and regulation of the electricity and water. And the third one is electricity and water efficiency, where they give a clear picture to everyone what is the efficiency for the energy, for the electricity. And the third one is triple R, RRR, which is reduce and reuse and recycle. And the fifth one, it's renewable energy percentage. They have increased, so they have less burning for CO2 also. That one part of CO2 as well. It's linked with CO2. So they have the clean energy, like they have what we have seen outside. It's solar cell. Yeah, they have used. And that's all.
Good job. Who's next?
Who's next?
Construction.
Ladies first. Ladies?
It's part of lady leadership, by the way.
Yes, ladies first.
So for the healthcare sector, we split it into two, social and environmental. However, in the environmental section, we have some things that are more about the things that are impacting the sector rather than just the environment as a green kind of thing. I hope that's fine. So for the social KPIs, we have patient turnover rate, we have mortality rate, patients and healthcare employees satisfaction, recovery time of patients, awareness as in the kind of programs that the healthcare rolls out for the public in order for them to be more aware about diseases and prevention of diseases. We also have a public-private partnership in terms of funding for patients who don't have a source of income of their own. In the environmental section, we have hazardous waste levels generated by healthcare facilities, infection control of the patients in hospitals, accessibility to facilities, utilization of the facilities built, and we also have green building certification of healthcare facilities and the carbon footprint that is being generated by them.
Well done. A couple left. Next.
Construction.
Construction.
Actually, construction, a guilty industry if we talk about sustainability and environment.
Sort of.
We hope we did something. We have for the social KPIs, we started with end users and authorities satisfaction or compliance, and that can be done by questionnaires. We have the cultural satisfaction in design and in execution, and that can be made through checklists. We have compliance with the human rights related to labors, especially in this area. We have also creating opportunities, and that can be measured probably by checking how many opportunities each construction project can provide. And we have the normal health and safety standards compliance which are being followed in construction projects. If we talk about environmental, we have to measure how much we are using LEED certified material in projects. And also the second issue is the selection of locations for projects. The third item is measuring how much we are saving energy, implementation of green buildings. And number 4 is the waste management, considering the amount of waste that is produced from construction industry. The fifth issue is taking more into consideration environmental traffic study issues, and that's it.
Very good, very good, very good. Finished? IT?
Public transport?
Yes, ready?
So we believe public transport is an environment where we can basically have a lot of initiatives that have to do with sustainability, and it's a very rich environment, and I think it started already. We looked at the social KPIs. I think the number of passengers increase would definitely have a lot of impact on sustainability, and it can be very measurable. Reduction of number of cars versus public transport is another KPI. We looked at the fatality rate because we believe that if people are using a lot of public transport, we will reduce the fatality rate within a city. The accident rate as well. We are also looking at customer satisfaction in the community because we believe if the infrastructure and the public transport in a given area is very well maintained or very well provided, a community will be very satisfied, and it's very measurable as well. For the environmental impacts, we looked at, as many of our colleagues as well, we looked at the reduction in carbon emissions and other emissions as well. The moment people use public transport, that will definitely reduce, and I think people are measuring it already all over the world on a big scale. And percent of the number of green friendly vehicles. So we believe that is something that can actually contribute to sustainability if a lot of organizations are concentrating on providing green vehicles versus normal diesel machines. It will make a lot of difference. Noise pollution is something else as well that will contribute to the environmental KPIs. And vibration pollution as well. So although it sounds like the noise, but it's something very different in the science that people are now actually measuring. We're also looking at something else that has repeated itself, something extra, is public transport vehicles versus private vehicles. Thank you.
Well done.
I'm going to discuss about public agencies.
Excellent. That's where my roots are from. Actually, IT government, so Hannah.
Under public agency, we are divided social and environmental. Can you hear? Under social, we consider e-government services. All the government services can be converted to the e-government services, like online services, and by that we can reduce reduction of hassle for the information management and reduction of waiting time for the government services. We can reduce the reduction of the unhappiness and can increase the percentage of happiness, social happiness. Even reduction of cash management, and people social, they are happy to use credit card and all that services. And percentage use of the social media to interact with public. By that, reduction of information management, cost and the time, and reduction of advertising cost and the hassle freeness,
can reduce the carbon footprint. And percentage research on areas for alternative power supply with green energy initiatives, and all government infrastructure, we can have percentage of rated for the green building certificates like gold, silver. Use of real-time satellite imagery to track and control the information management. From that, government can reduce the cost and resources for the emergency management using GIS and satellite imagery, and percentage reduction of there's one initiative from the government. One of my colleagues shared that information. They have invention of the airplane with the solar power. So from that, 100% fuel-free airlines invention using solar power and reduce the carbon footprint.
What about flying at nighttime? Is that a problem?
Sorry?
I'm just kidding. Red-eye flights, is that?
But according to him, that they have completed the research part, now they are going to implement this one, implementation. And another one of my colleagues shared with the e-citizens. Abu Dhabi government is going to implement the e-citizen. From that, they are going to reduce the percentage of, increase the percentage of literacy of the computer and IT infrastructure knowledge of the public, and from that, they are going to increase the people happiness and reduce the waste of time for personally attending, and they can use the IT infrastructure.
Awesome. Great stuff. I want to say, actually, a lot of the initiatives you outlined, I've actually done them. E-government automated workflows. We actually did a project where we took city, county, their online permitting systems. They had 18 agencies that had the time to take to get one building permit and one, what do they call them? Improvement location permit. So you go on and say, I've got a piece of land, I want to improve it somehow. It used to take 6 months to get all the stamps from environmental, from design, all the way through, down to 4 days, just by doing that. So it's amazing how much resources you can save by going Data center. Data center of the future. Tell us about your data center.
Thank you very much. Actually, there was 3 aspects of looking at the area of this data center IT telecom sector, which is one is social aspects of, environmental aspects of, and profitability. So actually, we conclude the 5 KPI, which is actually contributing to the all 3 environmental point of view, profitability point of view, as well as social point of view.
Okay.
So the 3 KPIs actually, when we have to build a data center, so we need to look at the environment of that data center location is actually very important. So because at the end, it will affect the environment. So you have to keep your data center far location, so that avoid population. So one is actually KPI for cooling. So KPI for cooling, actually we need to maintain the temperature between 18 and 22 Celsius. So all across the zone the data center. And the second aspect, second area is actually humidity between 40 to 60%. And the third is actually maintain operations and maintenance SLA, which is level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4, and with the period of the time. Fourth one is actually availability. So 99, the 5 nines you have to maintain to make, it's also linked to the sustainability. So you can reduce any of component without harming of your environment. So in availability there are three or four stacks. Data availability, power availability, your network availability. Then the fifth is actually your security. Security is actually you can measure by the compliance or implementing the standards. Like physical security, you have ISO 27001 standard. You can maintain by that. And network security, confidentiality of the customer data is actually one of the aspects. So when you look at the social environment, of course, this IT and telecom sector is providing services to end users, which has right now you have cloud services, you have many other social media services, which is enhancing the people's life. And the second is actually your environment. The data center is actually hard for the environment. They are putting more actually carbon footprint. So you need to maintain with the next generation power source, so you can reduce the carbon footprint. Of course, when you have available of this data center, it will increase the profitability.
Fantastic. So, do you see any common threads among all these?
No. Yes, so many
commonalities, aren't they? So, I'm going to proceed, and I'm going to link all these together with one concept. Current PM challenges. Now, we've evolved as project management from, and this says quality, it's kind of yellow. Time, cost, scope equals quality. Remember this iron triangle? Martin Barnes invented this on the back of a paper napkin back in the 60s. And the idea was quality is derived from time, cost, and scope. Well, what about risks and benefits? That comes into the picture. So it became time, cost, scope equals quality if you can factor in risks and benefits. Well, what about this one? Environment, economy, society, project processes, and products. We have to evolve. We can't just look at time, cost, scope because the public wants to know more than that. Is it beneficial? Is it socially acceptable? Is it environmentally friendly? I'm not going to buy your product just because it's on time. Take, for example, a surgery. Woman goes into the doctor. She has to have a heart transplant. The doctor says, okay, Tuesday, you're going to come in. I'm going to cut you open. I'm going to rip out the old heart, put in the new heart. It's going to take me 4 hours. It costs you $1 million. Send you home, all done. So, your project constraints are Tuesday, that's your time. For 4 hours, right? Go, cut open, rip out, put a new one, still up. And it's much more challenging than I'm sure. And then, bill, cost. Easy peasy, right? Well, patient comes in, right on time, doctor cuts her open, takes out the old heart, slaps in the new one, sews her back up, sends her packing, sends out the bill, collects the bill. Successful project, right? Time, cost, scope. Patient dies. Uh-oh, failed project. But according to project management standards globally, the project was a success. What's the problem with this? Right? Nobody wants to see the project fail, but according to our global standards, it was technically a success. Time, cost, scope, quality. Doesn't fit. We have to look at the processes were employed and the outcome of the product. The process from a maturity and efficiency perspective, and the product from an impact perspective. What is the social impact of that product? What is the environmental impact of that product? Altogether, we call this P5. If you go to greenprojectmanagement.org/P5, you can download it for free. It's an open source standard. Take it, use it, abuse it, however you want. But essentially, it culminates the project and product life cycles, triple bottom line, UN Global Compact 10 principles and all that it contains, and GRI reporting framework. And what it does, it helps projects pull in all these KPIs and kicks out concrete risk analysis and the ability of the organization to type projects and sustainability reporting together. So no longer do you have to go running down the hall saying, you got anything like philanthropy or carbon emission goals, or can we actually take our product and start reporting on it? You can now. This was released in May. We've already had over 5,000 downloads, and not to mention all the courses going worldwide, so this is becoming really popular. Matter of fact, I mentioned earlier, but Nike and New Balance have been using this to reduce toxic chemicals in all clothing lines everywhere. So it's pretty cool. Not particularly help write it, but you know. So this is what it looks like. You can download it for free. And here's how it works. Projects have essentially two things. They develop an asset or an output, deliverable. Let's take, for example, an automobile. Volkswagen Jettas require oil change, now I'm going to use US figures here, every 10,000 miles, which how many kilometers is that? I don't know, like. Yikes, that was fast, okay. So yes, what she said. Now, my Mazda 6 requires every 3,000 miles. What's the problem here? It's more oil being consumed and more money out of my pocket. I'm not very happy with that. So the project manager who designed that should have thought, how can we make this more efficient? There's an idea. Process impacts maturity and efficiency. How fast, how efficient, how mature is this project in comparison to our last project and the projects in the queue currently? How can we increase organizational maturity going forward based on what we know, based on what we're doing, based on what our strategy is? So we take these and we loop them all together on the bottom line and all these KPIs. Now look, on all your sheets out here, how many do you recognize? Digital communication, e-government, carbon emissions. You saw how many of these? I saw waste on a lot of them. Saw customer health and safety. Look familiar? You all know all this already. Now how do you put it all together? How do you put it into practice? It's got to fit together somehow, right? P5 is the way you do it. First, you have to understand what is a product. What is the life cycle of a product? Projects don't end at close. Anyone who teaches you that is wrong. Wrong. Projects create a product which has a life cycle. That life cycle goes on. When that product's economic use is done, we have to do it. It goes in a landfill, gets repurposed, recycled, something. That should be factored into the mind of the project manager during initiation. Hey, we're going to design this new widget. Great. Let's get it out the door, sell it, make some money off it. Wait a minute. What happens afterwards? Or I bring the iPhone 5? What's going to happen to it when I give it back to my big box dealer who hands me my iPhone 6? I don't know. Into a landfill? Hope not. Probably. Product life cycle. You must take this into account in your project initiation. Project process. That's according to ISO. Specific to a project management determines how the activities selected for the project are being managed. Delivery processes and support processes. So again, back to the Volkswagen Jetta. What does it take to sustain that product during its economic use period? Tune-ups, oil changes, breakdowns, tires, what have you. Keep that product alive. Some products are worse than others. Some products are better than others. How do you make it work? What you do is say, okay, let's say it's social. So people, planet, profit, right? So social. Subcategory. They were practicing these words. So you're given a task or a project objective. Hey, I want you to deliver X. Okay, what are the impacts? Well, our organizational hiring practices do not meet needs of this project. It's a risk. Check it off. And there's a lot more to the scoring mechanism. We only have a couple hours today. I can't go into great detail, but there's a way to actually score this. And you check out any legal regulations, anything like that, and a proposed action. So the project manager can actually take your objectives, your project deliverables, and say, I've measured this against 43 existing KPIs, it's an international standard, and I've come up with maybe 20 new objectives for the project. Take it back to the sponsor for sign-off, they become new project objectives, and your project is now 100% sustainable. How about that? It takes about, depending on the scope of the project, anywhere from a couple hours to maybe a day worth of work, but it saves you a ton of money. Think back to BP and the big oil spill. Oops, had they done a small exercise like this, $20 billion, company's reputation, lots of dead animals, lots of people losing their jobs. Simple process, not too hard. Now think macro, global issues. What can we achieve if all of our projects took a small bit of account to environmental impacts, social impacts? Big changes, big changes. What you do is develop what's called an SMP. Tariq, what's an SMP? And are they great? Why are they great? Tariq's a certified green project manager, so I'm picking on him. All right. This is your basic project. You all recognize this, right? This is like PM 101. Project initiate, plan. Now this is the ISO terminology, so it might look a little bit different. Initiate, plan, execute, or implement. Execute can be a negative term in some countries, you know. So we say implement. Monitor, control, close, hand off. Now, if you had a management plan, a document, a living, breathing document, where you maintained sustainability impacts that you can actually measure, and let's say you started off here, how would it impact the rest of the documents? Would it? Where would it impact the rest of the project as far as documentation goes? If you put it, say, into a business case, where else would it impact? Sorry. If you had KPIs for sustainability built into the business case of the project, where would it impact? Everywhere. How? Why? Because once there's a requirement for it, then your contracts, statements of work, you're going to start implementing into sourcing, supplies, staffing, any kinds of resources. You're going to be reporting on it, integrated into project plans as an S&P document. You're going to have lessons learned as you move on to new projects. Here's what we did last time to make it better next time. It completely changes the way you do change in the organization. Any kind of change you start to deliver becomes more sustainable. Therefore, the organization becomes more sustainable. If you recall, at the beginning of my slide set, I showed you the organization diagram of C-level executives, projects, operations. This is how you drive it through the project organization as a deliverable becomes benefits to the organization. Three-legged stool for sustainability, not two-legged stool. Does that make sense? I see a lot of blank stares out there. Yes? No? Yes. Yes? Okay. Anybody confused? Confused? No? We're good? Tark, you confused? No? Good? Okay. All right. We're done that. Sorry. Okay. Nice try. You're like, oh, good. We got here. Okay. So, sorry, I can't do this one. Next time. All right. So, anyone familiar with these? Anybody ever heard these before? What are they? All the way in the back. MDGs. Yes, Millennium Development Goals.
They are changed now to sustainable development.
Yes. So these are goals that have been in place now for a little while. Now, a lot of them are geared towards Africa because there's a big initiative to help Africa become more sustainable. But this is sort of a global I guess, project goals, you could say. Eradicate extreme poverty and hunger, achieve universal primary education, promote gender equality and empower women, reduce child mortality. Now, a lot of these I saw on some of your charts, which is really cool. The good thing about these are, a lot of them are actually being achieved. We're seeing tremendous results in actually, when we talk about, where's the one? Extreme poverty. We're talking about extreme poverty. I mean, I'm broke, but I'm not, So we're talking about extreme poverty. We're talking about combating HIV, AIDS, and malaria. So a lot of these are being achieved, but then the UN who's actually driving these said, well, what's next? How can we take the next step forward? It's called the Post-2015 Business Engagement Architecture. It was unveiled last September at the UN Global Compact Leadership Summit And fortunately, I was able to be in attendance to see this monstrosity being unveiled to about 600 CEOs whose jaws went like this. What is that thing? So, essentially, this is a new model for sustainable development going forward starting next year. So those 8 goals have been transformed into CSR. How can corporations and organizations collaborate to actually drive sustainability forward and achieve even bigger goals? How can we actually support 9 billion people on the planet? How can we reduce and improve on climate change issues? How can we achieve these massive goals? Now, this looks kind of confusing, so I'll boil it down a little bit easier. Okay, that's better. Long-term business goals. Simple, we can get that, okay. Transparency and accountability. Okay, New Balance and Nike is one example. Working together, collaborating, right? Measurement practices, reporting standards. We have them in place with the GRI G4, your global compact. Certification schemes, ISO certifications, GPM certifications. They're in place. Platforms for action and partnership. We're talking about local initiatives and networks. So those are already in place. UN Global Compact local networks, issue platforms, business sector initiatives. So again, collaboration. Market and society-based drivers and incentives. So they're saying all these together should build leadership and sustainability, but it's kind of confusing to a certain extent. What Benke, this is taken from my iPhone, I apologize, it's kind of blurry, but what he's saying is that each of these building blocks must be further strengthened and connected through a comprehensive collective effort. And as he's saying this, I'm sitting at a table about this size, and I got the CEO of LG, CEO of Volvo, CEO of some Chinese government I couldn't pronounce, and 2 Nordic companies I forget. But I'm looking at these guys' faces and they're going, what the heck's he talking about? And I said, well, how are you guys going to actually deploy this? And they're like, I have no idea. That speaks back to the point I made earlier about they all agree it's important, but they can't quantify the value. How do we do this? Building blocks. Any ideas? How do these fit together? It's awfully quiet. The problem is, this is designed for supply chains. That's the big problem. That's why no one can answer the question. I asked the chairman of KPMG point blank, how can KPMG's products make use of this? He didn't have an answer. He's the one that probably designed this thing. I said, come on, guys. Projects and organizational change has to be taken into account for this. Otherwise, it's never going to work. That's why I'm asking all of you in this room and all PMs around the world to say, think about how you can integrate this into how you currently do projects. How can you integrate this into change delivery? Project success. There's a couple examples. Let's back up. Okay. Here's one way to look at success. The Winter Olympics must start on time. Right? Can't be late. New medicine must be safe. There's one. Now, stakeholders look at these a little bit differently. For example, the bride's father wants the wedding to come in on budget. The bride's mother wants every relative to be invited. Uh-oh! How do you get all stakeholders to agree? What's the best outcome? When to define success? We'll put these all here at once. Success should be defined and documented up front in the initiation phase of the project. We all know that, right? Does it always happen? Nope. Why not? What happens? What happens? You shake your head no. Tell me why.
It stays on paper, it will stay on paper. But when you start it, there are a lot of stakeholders that control that success.
Too many cooks in the kitchen. Success should align with strategic initiatives and goals. Why does this not happen? Let me ask you a question. How many of you work in an organization where the person directly above you tells you what strategic initiatives are currently in place and new ones that come on down the line? How often does that happen to you guys? All the time? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. How many of you does it never happen? So your direct boss tells you, here's a new strategic initiative for the organization. You should know this for your project. It's important. That happens all the time? Really?
Actually, at times things like deadline has been imposed that you have to do this under this timeline and that's it. And then we have to know like for us the success is that anything which is being told has been done within that particular time frame. Regardless of the reality check, that thing can't be done in that.
Okay, let me give an example, and I think Tarek's heard this before. My favorite story from a class that I taught. A guy from Coca-Cola comes in my class, and he's completely against everything I'm talking about, which asks me, why are you in this class to begin with? Did I hurt your family or something? What's going on? So let's call this guy Tim. Tim comes to my class, and he goes, I don't care about organizational strategy. I care about the project that's put on my plate. I want to get it done, get it out the door, move on to the next project. That's my job. I'm a project manager. Boom. I said, okay, Tim, well, what kind of projects do you manage? He goes, new beverages. Okay. Well, whenever I have a class, I always learn about the organization coming in and things about him. So I said, so Tim, tell me, are you aware that currently Coca-Cola uses, on average, I forget the exact number, it was like 20 gallons of water, 20 liters of water per 1 liter of Coca-Cola produced? It's like, no. I said, so Tim, if you don't know that Coca-Cola's goal is to reduce it down to 4 liters per 1 liter, and you were given a project to develop a new beverage, took the old formula in, what would they say? Maybe you should learn what sustainability goals are in place. That way you're actually a value to your company. He goes, I'm listening. The point is, oftentimes initiatives and strategy from an operations perspective might be shared, but sustainability rarely is to project managers. It's a whole foreign concept. Now, these types of things need to be shared as success criteria. We want to see as part of your project that you actually align with our sustainability goals. Oftentimes, it's up to the PM to find out what they are. It's not always shared because, one, it's not always understood how to put them into practice. Okay. Do we have time for this? We may have to come back to this. All right, I want to talk about benefits. Now, we all know that project outputs, what comes out of projects, right? That's what we all focus on. What's the output? What are we going to be delivering? What's the goal? What doesn't often occur is benefits management. What do I mean by that?
Delivering the project, how I'm going to manage the benefits of the project. How to get the most benefit.
2 weeks ago in Kyoto, I might be in trouble for saying this, but I don't really care. 2 weeks ago in Kyoto, the ISO Stakeholder Management Standard team met, developing this new ISO standard. And there was a statement made by a colleague of mine that projects produce benefits. And the team completely disagreed with it. Argued does not. Creates outputs. He goes, well, if you can't validate the business plan, why do the project? If the business plan does not align with organizational strategy, why do it? It's often ignored. That's why projects fail. Would you agree? Does it happen all the time? What needs to happen is project outputs need to be broken down into a business case during initiation. And this isn't taught in a lot of project management courses, but it's important to understand that this has a tree. Business changes create desired outcomes. They're measured in benefits by organizational strategy, by organizational leadership, and turn into new objectives. They also cause side effects and consequences, which result in disbenefits. But you further realize the benefits because you can go back and change the next project in the queue. It's important to create a benefits management plan based on organizational strategy that includes sustainable KPIs to ensure that, one, your project is doing what it needs to do, your organization is truly benefiting from it from an economic standpoint, and it's going to help the next project in the queue. Does that make sense? Does it happen? No. Why? Why does it not happen? Can anybody tell me? I really have no idea why. But a lot of research has gone into this, and actually this came out of the OGC, but it's pretty widespread. We can improve project quality, project success, by putting together benefits management plans as PMs, taking it back to our stakeholders and saying, this is what we see this project ultimately doing. What do you think? They go, that's a great idea. Does anybody actually do this in practice right now? Nice.
In our case, it starts with identifying benefit realization measures in the project and doing it.
Do you guys use Prince too? That's fine. but it's key. So focusing on benefits has to become a core competence of project management. And this ties directly into sustainability. Because wasted projects is wasted dollars, which is waste. This is what we want to definitely avoid.
Excuse me. Desired output almost the same as benefits, isn't it? I think when you start in a project, you start with the desired outcomes. Sorry, outcomes.
Right. So
then you start from desired outcome, and then you work the whole loop. And desired outcome should be also a benefit. Isn't it?
Mm-hmm. But when is it realized?
Operation, not improvement.
Output and outcome. I'm talking about the outcome.
Mm-hmm.
Right? The output mungkin jump in, jump out. If you want to do a desired outcome, which is this is excellence beyond the normal processing, input output. But desired outcome normally this is in the strategic thinking. You have a project, and that project you want, say, to have this and this and this. And you have to put the KPIs as desired outcome. Which should not be, it should be almost the same as benefits. Because sometimes you don't get a complete benefit, because you have positive impact also in anything. You have positive and negative.
Right.
Like Coca-Cola, for example.
Right.
It's a good drink and all that, but it have one bottle maybe have 16 spoons of sugar. If I'm doing a project of, say, producing water from desalinated sea, this is having positive and negative. I'm depleting the natural source with the sea, but in reality I have to do it because this is only source of water for this purpose.
Right.
You have to be clear.
Yeah, that's true. And the key, though, is that project managers themselves need to take this into account more often. Benefits realization plan has to be part of your project plan. It's absolutely critical. And I say 98% don't do that. And so, just tell you, give it a try.
Actually, I've studied project management, program management, and we learned that benefit realization plan should be set up in the program management. So I think as a theory, the PMI address this issue so that we should track the benefits in the program level, so should be in the strategic level. I mean, the benefits, let's say, as PMI didn't think about benefits in the project because they think about so
Yes, you're correct. Here's the challenge with that, though. How many organizations run projects as compared to how many of them actually have PMOs? It has to be at least a hook in for project management, otherwise it gets missed by lots of projects out there. Because I can tell you for every 10 companies that have a PMO, there's 50 that do not. So it can't just be only in portfolio program management. PMs also have to be on the lookout for it too. Oop, back up. So, for benefits realization, just a couple simple best practices. Make sure that whatever it is you're being asked to do aligns to strategy, priorities, and expectations. Conduct a health check on the project. Simple enough to do. Establish governance, define the vision. Establish a transformational approach, identify your numbers, and a support structure. As long as you understand what these are as a PM, that's enough. Pretty simple. Already been there. Okay, now this is a lot of, let's break this down easier. Okay, this is out of PMBOK 5, US PMBOK 5. Often, it is the project sponsor or the portfolio or program manager who identifies alignment or potential conflicts between organizational strategies and project goals, and they communicates these to the project manager. So like what you said, right? But, however, if the goals of the project are in conflict with an established organization, blah, 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 it's a project manager's job to know it too. I did a seminar in Beirut in January, and you speak to people in the room, and when they saw this, they went, "Oh, we don't do that. So this is your book? In my chapter. Come on, guys." This is one of the largest reasons for project failure. And I think it was the PMI's Pulse of the Profession that actually this came out of too. It says that the value of project governance, the value of benefits and strategic alignment is on the decline. So our projects are failing. So again, it's up to the PM to understand this. And this ties back to sustainability. If your organization has sustainability goals, there's one of them, it's your job to know them. But the problem is, how do you take that from a goal and translate it into action? That's where P5 comes into play. Now, oftentimes, a project delivers benefit, right? So you're going to build something new, some new awesome device or something cool, and it goes in, it comes up as a business case, it's designed, it's prototype, designed, built, goes into production, and then the organization starts to make money off it, and yeah, everybody's happy. And benefits realization happens when it aligns, the concept aligns with outcomes for dollars, right? Is that enough? No. You know why? Because stakeholders aren't just wanting to know, is the company profitable? No one will invest in your project if they think, yeah, we can make some money. Because consumers are smart nowadays. They have this thing called the internet. You guys hear this thing? They go online, and they go, I'm not buying that product. It's horrible. They've got like these massive oil fields. They're spilling oil everywhere. They're doing all this. I'm not going to buy BP gas. Look what they did. Consumers want to know, throughout the entire life cycle of your product, is it clean, green, sustainable? Nobody can talk about cradle-to-cradle projects if you have suppliers that have filthy supply chains, if you have projects that might maybe, for example, the Prius car, right? Little clean green car. Let's say the Prius, for example, when it rolls off the assembly line, is sustainable. Oh, it runs off a battery, it can charge itself, it can go like 1,000 kilometers on a single tank of gas. It's great. Let's say the tires in that car are made in Indonesia, shipped halfway around the world to Africa, assembled, and you get the point. Is it really sustainable? No. CO2, travel, emissions, time, cost. It's important to think about your project life cycle matching the benefits goals for the product itself. So in essence, you have to make sure that the concept, definition, implementation, and the closeout and operations are also sustainable in order to actually realize benefits. If the design is green, yeah, there's benefits. Only for so long, people start looking into it and going, wait a minute, it's built where? I didn't know that. My dad, love him, kind of crazy. When I started doing a project for New Balance shoes, he goes, I only buy New Balance because they're made in America. That's my dad. I said, actually, Dad, 80% made in China. That's not true. Like, they're my client, trust me, they're made in China. That's not true. Showed him the paper, he's like, we're all being fooled. I'm like, no, Dad, just don't research products. But the point is, it's important to know that from concept, define, implementation, and operations, there's a framework in place to ensure that everything is sustainable and transparent down the line. Because the benefits aren't just monetary, it's, you can have so many more. Of course, economic returns, but alignment with organizational, government, sustainability initiatives goals. For example, Dubai 2020, or Dubai Expo 2020, right? One of the 3 key tenets, sustainability. So if you land a contractor job building a new structure for Dubai 2020, and one of your key tenets is, we are a sustainable contract organization. We follow these tenets. We operate this way. Guess who's going to get the bid? Those guys. But how do you prove it? You have to show that from concept to handoff, post-life, it's sustainable. Using the P5 framework, which is free online, you can use it however you want. It's there. But you also get alignment with ISO 14000 series for environmental management, energy management, CSR, and increased efficiency of processes, increased organizational maturity of projects, all of it on the line, saving money, making more money, everybody's happy. Make sense? Sounds easy, right? It is easy. Common frameworks and methods. Now, I'm going to show you, this is called PRISM. Projects Integrating Sustainable Methods. This is our design. It's, you've heard of Prince 2, right? Prince 2 is a structured methodology. PRISM is sort of at the same note, but it's a little bit different in that it's principle-based. So a process can also be principle-based as well. What I mean by that is, these are all functions. They don't always have to be in the same order. They can be ripped apart, you can add new ones in, it can be molded, tailored to how you run your organization. But a project typically flows like this. A mandate comes from somewhere. Now, when I work for the government, mostly I heard about my projects on the radio. Driving to work one morning, new bridge is being built. Really? Oh, my new project. You go to work, hey, no one told me about this. Oh yeah, we forgot, yeah, we announced it and all this. Here you go. Like, thanks. So it doesn't always come from a PMO, right? Be nice, but projects come from where they come from. They select the project sponsor, so the person ultimately responsible, project manager, draft the business charter, or the business case, project charter. Now, where you see a green box, it means partial sustainability integration. So hopefully there's hooks in there, KPIs, requesting, please make sure that there are sustainability components in this project. We have specific goals. Draft the business case. Formulate the project team. Again, formulating, not documenting yet. I kind of would like this person on the team, this person on the team, get that guy over there, get that girl over there, get them on the team. Review organizational sustainability goals. Now, is that a W there? Oh, that's not good. Typo. Somebody's getting fired. Just kidding. We don't do that. So mean. So review now this isn't just sustainability goals, it's organizational goals too, but we make emphasis on sustainability because we are a great company. Level against any environmental and energy management systems. Tell me, in your practice, you get handed a new project mandate, do you look at your corporate EMS and say, are there any mismatches here? Who does that? Anybody?
Anyway, IMS is not talking anything about sustainability. There is no sustainability issue in IMS, Integrated Management System. Now they are going to revise ISO 14000 to fit sustainability.
However,
there is no clause in environment
you're right.
about sustainability.
However, the 40001 series for environmental management has an EMS in place for operations, right? If the product that you're developing doesn't align with those standards for your organization, so operations and project organization do not align together, there's a problem.
Now what I'm talking about the standard as standard. The element as clauses. They not address sustainability. They talk indirect, like
Indirectly, right? But the way they're actually implemented into the system, as a system, it does. Yeah.
I have implemented because also it creates sustainability beyond the, and also we use the British 5-star for safety so addressing sustainability.
Right.
And GIR report.
Yeah.
But environmental is not addressing anything on GIR.
But environmental is one of the 3 key layers of sustainability, so we've got that in place already. So that's what you're actually looking at is, does this project have any environmental impacts? And does it go against our organizational policies? Oftentimes, PMs never think about this. I don't care. It's not my job, it's operations job. Nope, your job. And it goes for energy management systems too. Like, if we're going to build this new awesome design product, and it uses all this electricity, can we support that? Does it go against our organizational policies? Are we reporting one thing and doing another thing? Happens all the time. If it's just a simple step to just take a quick peek and take a look and say, does it align? If not, check a box, report it, say, hey, we make a change to the request, can we get this done? Again, we're still in an initiation phase, so you can still change the project charter. You can go back to the project sponsor and say, hey, we want to see a change, can we make this change? Is it okay? Yep. Update the business case. Perform P5 analysis. Now, you've already gone through the steps to check against all your existing operational systems. Then you do your analysis and go, okay, are there any red flags? So going back to that big diagram, people, planet, profit, human rights, all those different steps. You check every request, every deliverable against that P5 and say, are there any risks? Are they high, medium, low? What should we be sectioning off and trying to mitigate and find alternatives for? That gets turned into an SMP. It's finalized with the business case, signed off on. Now, when you're doing requirements gathering, I know there's a plenary session later on requirements gathering. How many minutes for what? Oh wow, really? Thanks. Okay. Okay, so some of you will be going to a session later on requirements gathering. These are some, if you want to, we'll be giving you this whole thing later, but these are 10 key factors for gathering requirements that are completely sustainable. So, I'm not going to read them off. We'll give you a copy of this later on. We're running short on time. So again, moving on, define objectives, develop your sustainability management plan, finalize business case, game project sign off, and you move on. If there is change, risk, you review the SMP, make sure that you captured everything you need during planning. You can see SMP is now included in with your other project documentation. So cost management plan, procurement plan, resource management plan, planning plan, all your plans are all together, right? SMP is a living document along with your other plans. That way you keep revising it and ensuring that, one, this is a tool that takes your P5 analysis and is able to communicate it then to your CSR department, to your operations, to your executives, and they can see, oh, our projects are sustainable. Oh, there's issues here. How can we improve this? This gives you a tangible connection to your products, the change delivery, and your GRI reporting. Because if you go back to the slide I showed you earlier about reporting on CO2 emissions and philanthropy, you can now report on your products because you're doing risk analysis against specific sustainability KPIs. You're able to show quantifiable data that we see we're handling our products this way. We're using 43 layers of sustainability that are actually pulled from the GRI itself to ensure that our products, our projects, and sustainability reporting are all on the same level. That's how you change an organization from just talking sustainability to actually doing sustainability. Project management is the key. So I'll move through this kind of quickly here. So this is standard project processes, data documentation. I'm not going to go through every single step, but at the very end, you want to have a meeting with obviously your stakeholders and whatnot, but also specifically a separate meeting with CSR to say, here are the outcomes. What's new coming down the pipeline? Is there new projects coming down the queue? What should I be knowing? There it is. This way, your CSR officer's up to speed. That's it. Any questions? It's so quiet in here.
It's very interesting to see this incorporated in the project management concepts as sustainability. Now the implementation is challenging because you need resources, you need commitment, you need people to understand what you are talking about. So to drive success in incorporating the sustainability into the project management, it's a challenging process. How we can overcome this by convincing the...
Great question. And I have a very simple answer for you. First example. How many of you have ever gone to a training class and you spend a week in training and you're learning all this new stuff and you go back to work on Monday and you sit down and you get all this email coming in. And what you learn kind of fades to the back and you're back at work and half is already gone. Does that ever happen to you guys? All the time, right? Another scenario. You go to an awesome training class, you learn new methodologies, some cool tricks and tools and techniques. You go back in Monday and your boss goes, hey, do a brown bag lunch for everybody in your team and let's talk about this new stuff. And you go, well, aren't we going to start using it? Well, we're going to get everybody up to speed up, then we're going to start using it. That ever happen? It's happened to me before. It drove me nuts. Like, but I got some cool stuff. Hold on to it for 6 months. There has to be an organizational change to be able to adopt change. Oftentimes, we put the cart before the horse. You can't train and not be ready to put into practice what they've just learned. So organizational change readiness has to be the first step for sustainability project management. Company has to commit, yes, we're going to do this. Then you do an assessment, saying, okay, well, what does it all entail? Well, actually, we have a tool called PSM3 that does that. It's largely self-assessment based. You have two assessors come on site. They help you pull it all together and say, where are the gaps? What's working well? And a lot of cases, parts of the organization are already doing it. So let's take what's working over here, put it over here. Let's make sure everyone's on the same page, find out what's missing. Then we're going to give you a roadmap and say, maybe a little bit of training here, some policies over here, practices, and boom, you're off and running. It's actually quite simple. But the first step is making the commitment and then finding out what's missing. And then when the organization says, yes, we're going to embrace this, then take the training. Because when they come back, it's a whole new ballgame, but everyone has to be on the same page, level playing field. Otherwise, it's the half-life of training is like 3 weeks. You come back, you forget it, you don't get to use it. So, does that answer your question?
Right, you need to have a structural approach to that, from top down and down top. Like you have to have a policy, you have to have systems in place and all interlinked in a way that it will deliver sustainability at the end.
Yes, yeah, I mean, DIWA is a great example. They've made the commitment, we're going to make this change. And so now it's, let's find out what's missing. And then you can send off the training. So that's exactly how they're proceeding. Otherwise, you lose it and you don't really get benefit from it. So if you can't benefit from it, why do it? Right? Sorry, who goes first? Flip the coin, I don't know. Go ahead.
My question in that sense, does the sustainability has a certain timeline, I mean, certain life, like around 5 years or 10 years or 3 years? Like how soon a process or a product could be sustained? There is certain timeline for that?
It really depends on the product. I mean, take bottled water, for example. A bottle of water takes how long to produce? You know, the bottle itself, filling it, get it, drink it, 20 seconds is gone. So it depends. Is the bottle lives on? Can it be reproduced, repurposed, reused? So you're looking at a cradle to grave, cradle to cradle approach. It all depends on the design of the product and how sustainable it's going to be. And the benefits depend on, can the organization benefit from one, explaining how they're doing it, marketing, that's one benefit. Can they explain how they're working with other organizations to make the best possible, like maybe plant-based or collaboration to build a product? Is that?
Map this into like, we have got Microsoft Windows, right? So like a
Ouch.
And now it's Windows 8. So do we consider it's a sustainable approach of developing or doing product, like we updating the features and all?
No, it's not. There's a concept called Brown's theory, where technology advances every 2 years, I think it is. And so companies design new products to meet those expected advances, and product releases come out right on time. That's why you see 2-year life cycle and everything. It used to be Windows every 2 years, but now that's, I don't know. I think the social adoption of other OSs have made that more challenging. But no, it's not sustainable because it's all based on desire. You know, the needs-based economy. You know, I gotta have the latest and greatest. So they're playing on you to keep that going. But no, it's not sustainable at all. Because if it was, my iPhone would just be upgradable, and they'd make them stronger. As opposed to the new 6, shaped just like the 5, a little bit bigger, but hey, you gotta have it. It's so shiny, pretty. Just make my 5 better. That's all I want.
And you know, I feel sustainability, it's required high commitment, and also the politician or the manager to be a philosopher. Because now, if you are talking about there is a gap between the developed countries, United States and West Europe, the standard of education is high. And then, yeah, to some extent,
not my country.
Not compared to Africa, for example. If you
Yes.
want to make a sustainable project in Africa, you want to go through a lot of things. First of all, governance. UN compact, like human rights, anti-corruption, and all this. Suppose if you have 100% sustainable project with respect to green project and all that, how you tackle this kind of limitation, which is...
I can answer your question. I was asked to lead a panel discussion on sustainability needs for Africa. And look at me, am I African? No. Sure, I can do that! So I went to this UN summit and sat down and talked about sustainability needs for Africa. And my concept was very simple. I said this: it's not what I think is sustainability for Africa, it's what Africa needs for Africa. I said there are more diamonds above ground than underground because the population of Africa, largely, is under 18 years old. If you mine that and not diamonds, you can create incredible sustainability efforts in Africa. First, with tearing down the barriers of bribery and corruption. And I turned to LG and Volvo. I said, what if, for example, LG said, no more TVs, refrigerators in Africa until we don't have to bribe the borders anymore? You think it'd change? Everybody likes refrigerators and TVs. But until we see more collaboration, it's never going to happen. Because governments can't do it, because they're landlocked. Corporations have a lot of power. Project managers drive those products. So guess what? It's in your hands. Everybody in here is a change agent.
What about the project management? Right now, we are putting things in his hand. What about the developer who assigned that project manager and the authority or the contribution of his role to that developer?
Selling the value. Any developer who hears the words profitability increase is going to say, do it. Don't care what, do it. Because across the board, if you invest in sustainability, you'll become 30% more profitable. That's across the board. Google it. It's everywhere. Because you're increasing efficiency, reducing waste, improving social buy-in. It's profitable.
Yeah, you are 100% correct. It's profitable, but the time frame that the developer needs that to be happening, it's always with the sustainability. It's longer a little.
But it's where they see the value at, though.
You know, there's the capex that he wants to spend, and there's the opex coming back. The opex will go low. I know that, but the time frame, which is he was doing it for 6 years, right now his break-even point goes to 10. So those 4
That
years.
ties back to the benefits management plan. How do you see benefits? Is the benefit on being on time, or is it being more sustainable? Would you get more contracts if you're seen as more sustainable, or just on time? That developer has to change their mindset. And it's the PM's job to say, no. Because PMs are being looked at more now for strategy than ever before. Tell us what's the best way forward. What do you think we should do? When I first started being a project manager, it was, here's the document, make it happen. Then it became, come to the strategy meeting, we want to hear your thoughts on this. Then it was, lead this task force. And I'm like, I'm a project manager, what do you want to do this for? Next thing you know, I'm in a library talking to politicians, and I'm like, this is not my role. But we're being pushed into new spaces. And it's our job, it's our responsibility, because there's so many of us now that we can take a global problem like those 8 MDGs and make that as part of our global project charter. 20 million people doing a little bit can actually do a lot. And if there's anything you learned today, I hope you take that away with you, that no matter what size, scope your project is, you can make a change globally. Do you all agree? Yes? No? Yes? Good. Good. I've done my job. Hopefully. Yeah. No. So this is a joke. So there's a lot of people, and I should explain this slide. I found this online and I laughed so hard because my family kind of pokes me being the green guy, you know. So this is a guy who's saying, oh, we need to have energy independence and sustainability and green jobs. And there's people that are saying climate change is fake. It's not real. It's not happening. When, come on, it is real. It's super hot where I live. It's ridiculous. So he's saying, well, what if we do all these great sustainable things and we make the world a better place and climate change actually isn't a problem? Well, what's wrong with making the world a better place? Anything wrong with that? No. So, whether climate change is a result of business, isn't a result of business, what's wrong with making it better?
Thank you for the enlightenment. Just that one last question. What advice would you give project managers to address the challenge of sustainability versus profit and cost control? Because a lot of our initiatives currently, is to address those two, and then it's versus sustainability. Because as our colleague said, it does cost a lot more currently to basically implement sustainability initiatives versus cost and budget costs, cost cutting and profit. What advice would you give in a practical form? Yeah,
Vernacular. Cost versus investment. It doesn't cost more to do sustainability. You're investing in sustainability because in the long run, you're going to save. And you're going to become much more profitable. And yeah, be upfront and honest. Yeah, it may take a little bit of work up front, but in the long run, we're going to be far ahead of our competitors. It's about market advantage. It's about retaining employees. Employees coming into work saying, I believe in what we're doing. This is an example. Method Soap. You guys ever hear of this stuff? Method Soap? Method is a company that started a couple years ago. You know, I don't know what products are available here to buy, Dawn or whatever dish soap there's available. They're all kind of in the same color little container, orange and blue and green. They smell like lemons or limes or pine trees, I don't know. But Method said, let's stop using chemicals and let's make all the bottles out of ocean plastic. It costs $1 more, but people will buy it. Method took 30% of market share away from Procter & Gamble by doing so. People want to invest and buy sustainable products. So any person who gives you a mandate for a project and wants case studies, you've got thousands of them. I'll give you my personal cell phone number. Hope you're on the phone with them. I'll talk to them. Because it sells. It sells itself. And if they don't, they're a laggard. Because again, 96% of CEOs believe it's the way forward. If he's part of the 4%, he won't be in the business very long anyway. It's the way the world's moving.
Look, what you're talking about here today is sustainability, bringing into the whole equation elements of social, elements of environmental, and so forth. Again, these are commendable. It brings forward a different dimension to schedule the usual business perspective of project management. But nevertheless, in my opinion, that's my subjective opinion, you are, through this course, putting a lot of emphasis on a project manager as the philosopher, whereby what we're looking at least from my perspective, is something much more on a strategic level, much more on an executive level, and whereby project managers, yes, their contribution is crucial, but it is one element or segment of an entire effort, a culture change,
right?
A change of mind, a change of education, a change of awareness, be it on the private sector, but as well as awareness on the public sector. You're looking at a project manager and saying, go tell your developer, go tell your client about the potential of what an investment now will give you 10, 20, 30 years down the line.
Yep.
Whereby, with all due respect, when that project manager goes to his or her senior executive level, who themselves are not yet familiar how to quantify that value, how will that project manager sell that to the client? And how will the client perceive that and be aware that it is something in its best interest for the long term?
There's a couple ways. One, look at your competitors. I guarantee you somebody's already doing it and making a buttload of money out of it. Two, you're right. It belongs to project governance. That's where it should start. Oftentimes, though, and the economy is what the economy is globally, what's the first thing to be cut when an organization starts to run out of money? A PMO. If I had $1 for every time I was asked, what's wrong with our organization? You walk in and go, this is an empty room. Well, there used to be a PMO. Well, why don't you put in place a PMO? Oh, we cut it because we lost funds. Well, put it back in place and you'll be more. It's the first thing to be cut. Well, if organizational project governance isn't functional, who's going to pick it up? The PM. So we start with the PM saying, become the advocate. Once they see it working once, it will infect everything else. And it will eventually make its way here. Somebody's going to pick it up first.
We have to only set numbers and value and benefits. But if you don't have the signed values, you cannot quantify that then. How do you answer?
By doing a P5 impact analysis, you can actually give the executive a dashboard showing them how sustainable the project is from process and product perspective and where they have gains to be made. And you can look at your competitors. And once they see that diagram and go, I had no idea it was this bad. What will it take to make some changes? A few little tweaks. And then they can start to show some incremental growths and report out the GRI. That then impacts the market, consumers, investors, and everyone else who's already looking at them. There are over 80,000 companies doing GRI reporting, and you can look at every sector out there. So I guarantee you, if that project manager says, well, look at 5 other companies making the same thing we are, they're doing this, we're not. So are we behind the times? No executive wants to be in that position. But PMs don't know about this. They don't know about the GRI or your global compact. And actually, it's sad, but on the compact, the only project management organization signed on is us. APMG finally put it into their ethics policy. So there's a start, but we need PMI to do it, and everyone else to do it. Start teaching this stuff. Because it has to be ingrained into products somewhere. Would you agree?
I'm not saying I disagree, but it's significantly challenging at this time.
It is. It is. The benefits greatly outweigh the risks. And I think that if we were to go in and do an assessment on that organization, we could show them a lot of quick wins. And were you in here when I showed the five different levels of sustainability for an organization? If they had to guess where they were, we went in and assessed them, show them where they really were, show them how little it took to get them where they really want to go. It's really not that big of an investment. And on the project manager's time, it's not very much at all.
Excuse me, in GRI, now this is voluntary. Most of the companies, they produce sustainability report. But GRI, you have to be questioned, right? And somebody has to assess you. And you have to have highly transparency. How you balance it?
The GRI will accept anything you give them.
And nobody will come and assess you? Or
No.
they just publish it?
They'll publish any piece of garbage. Hence the whole cow shell line. That's why we're saying if you can tie your product to it, because GRI doesn't have to assess anything. It's the public who's looking at it. It's your competition looking at it. Going, these guys are doing it. We're going to do it. We're going to beat them in the marketplace. So if you can actually tie your product to it, you're going to be far ahead of any competition. When I showed this to New Balance, they're like, we are on this today. Because their goal, they told me, like, we're currently a $3 billion company, we're going to $5 billion. I said, well, how are you going to beat out Adidas and Nike? They're ahead of you. Do this. Focus on your products. They're on it like, yes, sir. That's how you sell it. The GRI, there's no way they could track all that. It's too much. They're non-profit.
You're forcing us to take those money owners to convince themselves also that meaning of investment does not equal capex.
Say again?
The meaning of investment does not mean capex, which currently you spend. Investment means a life cycle, maybe in short, long, but it's an investment. Like you're investing in your children's education, the only benefit for you that you're wrong. Nothing in your pocket.
Yeah.
That's the problem, not the capex. Your investment is different term of capex. That's the problem. In this region, that what does it mean investment? How much I will spend to get my money back? That's unstoppable.
And ROI is a really goofy thing. Excuse me, sorry. ROI is a horrible way to measure return on investment. It's horrible. There's IRR, there's ERR, there's lots of ways to slice and dice it. But at the end of the day, it's what do you value and what are your principles? And your consumers, they know what they are.
Consumers change and they do not stay as they are.
may I know what is your vision and what is your strategy?
Mine?
No, what he said. Yeah, then you have to look at your capex and
You know, it really has to tie to what the organization has as what is their objectives. I mean, what do they want to accomplish? What is their vision? It has to tie to their strategy. Every organization is different. You can't do a cookie cutter installation. So it's based on what that company wants to achieve and how they can do it in the most sustainable way to them. No, there's no one way to do it. That's why we encourage self-assessment. You know, take a look at your systems and say, do these all gel together? And are we managing our projects in line with how our operations function? Are we getting lessons learned, and are we moving in a fluid organization? Or are we just silos? That approach is dead. It doesn't work. We've seen it 1,000 times.
You know, as DIWA, I work in DIWA, and DIWA, you know, we don't have a competitor. But when we apply the standard and sustainability, it done a lot of improvement to our work with respect to profit, efficiency, and we did a lot of things on sustainability which, without only commitment, you know, commitment from the leadership of Dubai to our board of directors to our CEO. With that one, that it helps even within DIWA to, for example, to reduce the energy and CO2 and also to improve people working. I mean, sustainability is not just for product only, but it can be benefit from the company itself to reduce
Absolutely.
the bills and to contribute on the global issues.
That's the key. And DIWA, as an example, here's what I did. The moment DIWA signed that Center of Excellence agreement and we gave them that award, you know what I did? I called all the regional offices and said, DIWA just took it. Now call all of your utilities and say, no, what are you going to do? Because you guys set the bar high, now all of them have to compete. Paris, France, who's your utility? What's going on? You guys going to be in this too? You going to do it? In fact, it's free. We don't charge for it. Take it. Run with it. Who is it in the UK? Spacing on it. They're an energy company. You might know.
CBD, Central British.
I forget. I did a paper with them a couple years ago. Anyway, I called them up. I forget the name. E&D. Anyway, I said, hey, you know, DIWA just did the Center of Excellence. I'm like, oh? I said, you don't do what? Yeah, they were just here like 2 months ago meeting with our Prime Minister. Really? We're going to do it too then. That's how it starts. Every organization, no one wants to be behind the time. If DIWA says we're going to start implementing sustainable project management, boom, that's all it takes. Australia's national housing, start impacting other national housing. BHP Billiton, big mining organization. South Africa said, we're going to take on GPM. Guess what? Malaysia said it too. Australia said it. So it starts to spread. Pretty soon, you're having a whole global change on sustainability in areas that the UN never expected to happen. They're all focusing on supply chains. We're focusing on projects and overall change. That's what happens. And the PMs in this room are the ones that can make it happen. I don't care if your project is to implement a small IT system, small change may have a big impact. So butterfly effect. I'll be butterflies.
Even you can do it at home. At home, you can also have a sustainability project at home, which is you can benefit of that.
Absolutely.
You can reduce your energy bill, water bill, waste, and you do other things. It's not just organization.
Oh yeah, I mean, you have to live it. Absolutely. So, I thank you all for your attention today. Before you go, a couple things. I want to go back, if you haven't done so already. Back it up, too slow. Again, we're giving away free access to our website. Join up, and we're going to have some really cool stuff in there next week, so do it now. 1 free year of access. Where are we at? This thing is slow. is. Go to this website, sign up, implement the code, free for you for 1 year. You get our handbook, the standards, everything for free. Our gift to you just for coming today. Second thing is, that paper I mentioned, have you all filled out your name on the sheet back there he's holding? If you want to be part of the article and published in the PM World Journal, fill out the information and make sure that your name is clearly legible for us to be able to read. And we're going to take a group photo to go along with the article up here after we're all finished. Sound good?
You will be emailing this presentation to us or something like that?
As long as I have your information, yes, we'll get a copy of it. You'll get a link to download it.
Are you sure you're going to, because most of the people promise to deliver, but unfortunately, they have no time and never say that.
I promise you, you'll get access. You know why? We want to make it available on our website. So if you sign up, it's already there.